Okay, I'll make a quick video about how to change a linear equation from slope-intercept form to standard form. Ding! So in slope-intercept form, this is what an equation looks like when it's in slope-intercept form. Something like that. Okay, so the way that you can tell that it's in slope-intercept form is that the y is all by itself, and I can see the slope right there, and I can see the y-intercept. So that's why they gave it that name, slope-intercept form. But we're going to practice turning that into standard form. So here's an example of an equation that's in standard form. So in order for a linear equation to be in standard form, two things need to happen. The first thing is that x and y need to be on the same side in order to be in standard form. The second thing is that there can be no fractions. So if you notice over here, there aren't any fractions in standard form. So just remember those two things. So I'm going to write them. So no fractions. And then the second thing, x and y need to be on the same side, okay? So that's what you need in order to go to standard form. So the first one we're gonna do is we're gonna do this example. So for me personally, I think the easier way to go is to get rid of my fractions first. So you need to do something to both sides, but you need to be wise about what you do so that you can get rid of your fractions. So you need to think, what could I do to both sides that will get rid of that denominator? Well, you can see that denominator as a dividing by 3. So if you want to undo dividing by 3, you got to times by 3. But if you do it there, you have to do it to everything. If you don't do it to everything, it's not going to stay balanced anymore. So let's rewrite it now. So it looks like 3y equals, now the whole point was to get rid of that 3. So those are gone. So the only thing that's left is a -4 and an x. And over here, 5 times 3, that leaves us with a 15. So sweet, we're getting super close. The only thing left that we need to do is to move that 4x. So in order to move that, we're just going to add him because he's being subtracted. And you just got to make sure to do it to both sides. So what are we left with? So let's write this. So 3y plus 4x. So let me ask a question. Can you put that 3y and 4x together? No, you can't. They are not like terms. One has a y and one has an x. Then we're going to put our equal sign. Those 4's, gone. That was the whole point. And then our 15 is still left over there. So great, there we are. It's in standard form. X and y are on the same side, and there's no fractions. Now this one's a little bit trickier. We've got to do some things to both sides that's going to get rid of that because we're clearing the fractions, and we got to get rid of that 4. So let's multiply everything. I know I got to multiply everything by 2 because I got to get rid of that 2. So I'm going to do that. But you know, before I move on, I also need to get rid of this denominator that's a 4. So you know what? I'm going to do that to everything too. I'm going to just do it in one shot and get them over with. Okay, so here we go. Now, let's write down what we're left with here. So 4 times 2, so that gives me an 8 with my y. Now the whole point was to get rid of the 2's, so those are gone, but what are you left with? 1 times 4 and an x. So there's 4x. And then here, the whole point was to get rid of the 4's, so those are gone now, and I'm left with 3 times 2. Sweet! Got them all done. So the only thing left is to get rid of that 4x. So since it's a positive 4x, we're going to minus it on both sides. Okay, so those are gone. So 8 minus 4x, so that's, 8y minus 4x. Well, we can't put those together. The best we can do is just put them beside each other. So 8y minus 4x and an equals, and the only thing left on this side is the 6. So there we go. Again, so there it is in standard form. So now our last question, we're going to come over here. And this question, I'm not even giving you this equation to start with. We've got to find it. So think about it. We need a slope and we need a y-intercept because that's how we start off. So what's our slope? We could figure out our slope. Let's see. From our slope, I'm going to do it right here. I go down 1 and I go over 3. So there's our slope. But since I went down 1, I'm going to make that a -1. And since I went to the right 3, that's positive. So there's the slope. Now all we need is the y-intercept, and I can see it right there. So that's at a +3. Good, so we wrote our equation. We're gonna do it just like we did these other ones. So the first thing we need to do something to both sides that's gonna get rid of that fraction. So since it's being divided by 3, I'm gonna times by 3 to every single part. Okay, let's write what's left. So we've got, let's see, 3y equals, those 3's are gone. That was the point, to get rid of them. And we've got a -1 times x plus 3 times 3, 9. Sweet, almost done. So the last thing, we need the x's and y's on the same side. So since that's a -1x, I'm going to add 1x to both sides. So what are we left with? So we can't put those together, so I'm just going to write them. 3y plus 1x equals, and those are gone. So the only thing I'm left with is 9. So there's a quick little recap on how to change things from slope-intercept form to standard form. Ding!